Two U.S. Air Force B-1 Lancer strategic bombers flew near Venezuelan airspace, the Wall Street Journal reported, citing U.S. administration officials. The aircraft took off from Dyess Air Force Base in Texas and conducted reconnaissance flights over the region without violating the airspace of the Bolivarian Republic. This aircraft provides networked connectivity between various military units that use different radio and communication systems. It is primarily used during anticipated multi-component military operations or complex training maneuvers. As the publication notes, the U.S. is not deploying these aircraft to the region on a permanent basis, as the B-1s have sufficient range to reach any point in the Caribbean directly from American territory. The B-1 Lancer supersonic strategic bomber entered service with the U.S. Air Force in the 1980s and is capable of carrying a variety of weapons, including cruise missiles. On Thursday evening, U.S. President Donald Trump said that American military forces may begin conducting ground operations against drug cartels in Latin American countries. The day before, The Washington Post reported that Trump had authorized aggressive actions against Venezuela and authorized steps to overthrow the country's president, Nicolas Maduro. As the newspaper noted, the document does not contain a direct order for the CIA to overthrow Maduro, but authorizes steps that could lead to such an outcome. The U.S. previously deployed an elite special operations regiment near Venezuela. In the event that the United States plans to launch massive airstrikes against the Venezuelan drug cartel in the coming hours or days, a landing operation is likely being considered, in which Wasp-type assault helicopters will play a significant role, from which the landing near the Venezuelan coast should be carried out. If a landing operation is being prepared, it is precisely the MV-22 Osprey tilt-rotor aircraft that should transport the Marines to the Venezuelan shores. So, United States has deployed stealth warplanes and Navy ships as part of what it calls anti-narcotics efforts, but has yet to release evidence that its targets, 8 boats and a semi-submersible, were smuggling drugs. President Donald Trump on Thursday insisted that he could continue to launch strikes against alleged drug traffickers abroad without Congress first passing an official declaration of war. "I'm not going to necessarily ask for a declaration of war," he said. "I think we're just doing to kill people that are bringing drugs into our country. Okay? We're going to kill them, you know, they're going to be like, dead." Trump's dismissal came as he suggested his administration would soon begin targeting those deemed as cartel members within countries like Venezuela, in addition to continuing to strike alleged drug boats in international waters. The president said he would notify Congress first before beginning any operations on land, but contended that the plan would not face any pushback from lawmakers. "We going to go? I don't see any loss in going to Congress," Trump said. "We're going to tell them what we're going to do and I think they'll probably like it, except for the radical left lunatics." The lethal strikes on vessels in the Caribbean and East Pacific have unnerved some lawmakers, given the little evidence the administration has presented proving that the targets were so-called narco-terrorists. On Thursday, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth insisted that the military has confirmed that each targeted boat is trafficking drugs. Still, he defended the decision to return 2 survivors of a recent strike as standard practice in war. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro on Thursday launched a plea in English as tensions mount between Washington and Caracas, "No crazy war, please." Maduro's comment came after U.S. President Donald Trump said he had authorized covert action against the South American nation, and amid an escalating U.S. military campaign against alleged drug traffickers in the Caribbean and Pacific. Yes peace forever, peace forever. No crazy war, please. Maduro said in a meeting with unions aligned with the leftist leader, a former bus driver and union leader. The U.S. Coast Guard has released video that it says was taken from a drone tracking a suspected smuggling vessel in the eastern Pacific Ocean. It is unclear when this footage was taken. But the Pentagon says the operation led to a successful interdiction by the crew of Coast Guard cutter Midget. According to Associated Press, meanwhile, the U.S. military on Wednesday launched its ninth strike against an alleged drug-carrying vessel, killing 3 people in the eastern Pacific Ocean, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said, expanding the Trump administration's campaign against drug trafficking in South America. It followed another strike Tuesday night, also in the eastern Pacific, that killed 2 people, Hegseth posted on social media hours earlier. The attacks were departures from the 7 previous U.S. strikes that had targeted vessels in the Caribbean Sea. They bring the death toll to at least 37 from attacks that began last month. The strikes represent an expansion of the military's targeting area as well as a shift to the waters off South America, where much of the cocaine from the world's largest producers is smuggled. Hegseth's social media posts also drew a direct comparison between the war on terrorism that the U.S. declared after the September 11, 2001, attacks and the Trump administration's crackdown. Later Wednesday, he referred to the alleged drug runners as the Al-Qaeda of our hemisphere. Republican President Donald Trump has justified the strikes by asserting that the United States is engaged in an armed conflict with drug cartels and proclaiming the criminal organizations unlawful combatants, relying on the same legal authority used by President George W. Bush's administration for the war on terrorism.